Good morning. It's Friday again. It's January 23rd. This is the second of our Dryden Public Broadband Committee meetings for the month of January. The first meeting of the month was a look at December and kind of a catch up on what had happened so far in January. This meeting is kind of the open discussion meeting that Amanda and I think we started talking about this like 6 months ago, that there are just some things that come up in running Dryden Fiber as a project, as a business, as an organization that are not like the day-to-day decisions where we need like, here's something going on, I want you to decide. It's more these things have been decided 12, 18, 24 or more months ago, and we want to do a check-in to see if we're going the right direction. There's also some things that are annual tasks that have to get done. Um, some of those are on set schedules, some of them are a bit more free form. Like we should at least once a year do this, or at least twice a year do that. Um, so we came up with this idea because the town already has an organizational meeting in January where they do the appointments and set the schedules, that we wanted to use this meeting to do some of that too. It's probably a lot of insider administrative managerial tasks, but hopefully the conversation will be interesting and maybe you have some ideas, some ways you can contribute to us too. Amanda, you want to give any other thoughts on this organizational meeting before we launch into it?
I think the other thing that we talked about is just kind of reviewing what are we doing, what not what worked, but what do we need to look closer at? I think looking at our contracts and for various vendors and various services to go, is this working? Should we be looking at something else? Like taking the time to really, without just continually using the same service. So I think that was the other kind of part that you know, after we've changed a couple vendors this past year, I'm like, okay, maybe we need to do this more often than till it becomes a problem.
Yeah, it's maybe it's a little like a sunshine week, a little bit like just when and how often do you assess kind of the long-term contracts and agreements? Um, Let me see if I can get my browser to launch. It's very slow. That's all I can say. It's quite slow right now. Um, Before we do that, there was one other topic, at least I wanted to add, which is we still have an opening for account manager. It is posted on the county's civil service website. There's two different links you need. One is a link that will go to the job description. The other is the link to actually apply for the job, which is not in the job description link. The job description link is basically like, here's a PDF that has no actionable links on it to do anything. You have to go back to civil service and search for the job. So to make it a little bit easier, hopefully, for people who are interested in the service or interested in the job at Dryden Fiber, if they go to drydenfiber.com, the first article on our blog at the top of the page is the job listing. It has two links. One is to the job description, and the other is to how to apply. Any questions on the account manager job opening?
No applications so far, right?
No application so far. It's been out there for about 30 days. Maybe it started like mid-December.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's not very easy to find, I guess is one easy mention. I talked to a few people outside of the organization. They asked if we were doing Indeed
Right.
for posting, and I have used Indeed a ton, but not at Town of Dryden. Does Dryden do Indeed for posting jobs? Can we do that?
I believe civil service actually does it automatically. I've seen it happen. I haven't gone and looked in Indeed to see if this job is there. Um, but I believe they put their posts there automatically.
Oh, So if someone applies through Indeed, it doesn't come to us.
No, it indeed then shifts them to the Tompkins County application page. Like it has a link that takes them to the civil service page in Tompkins County and says, here, now apply for the job.
It it is on in an Indeed.
You found it.
Yeah, when you search for jobs in Dryden with fiber, it comes up with there's a cable fiber technician for Halfley. There's the account manager for Dryden, a fiber lineman for Binghamton. Yeah, so it does come up. I mean, I think some of the issue is probably you're asking for quite a bit of experience with a degree. So uh,
We could ask for less.
yeah, so I mean that might be because a no new graduate could get that kind of job, and those are the people who are struggling to get jobs nowadays at the moment. So people with experience, of course, it's a lot easier. So, but it would probably mean more coaching from you, Dave. So, which you may not be able to do. That's the problem when you alter things slightly like that. So.
I mean, we can reassess the job description, see if that would make an impact for applicants. Any other things that you've seen work in your experience from anyone across the board for hiring, prospecting for new hiring?
Also, have you approached TC3? They do internships. You might be able to get somebody for 10 hours a week or something where it's in, one of those technology fields. That might be able to assist. Because
I haven't. We could do that. I mean, we don't really have a job description for that, what that would look like. Uh, that's an idea.
We do have that marketing job description.
What was that, Amanda?
We have a marketing. It was like a part-time. We did like a part-time position for like we called it marketing.
That's right.
Yeah, we didn't have anything on that either, right?
Yeah, no, it didn't have any success with that at the time, and other things came up. So we
Yeah. I mean, the focus really has been on construction. But this account manager is really focusing on our MDUs and just following up all the inbound leads, keeping people, renters up to date with what's going on with our work with their property owners, following up with engineering and outside plant construction, MDU construction, um, and a lot more as we continue to grow and expand.
Dave, where do we find a copy of the job description?
If you go to drydenfiber.com,
Okay.
the very first post it says now hiring account manager, and that will give a link to the civil service job description and how to apply.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, one other thing I put on the agenda to cover before we get to the organizational meeting, which is going to start just in a second. We had a utility pole incident. I shared that with the Broadband Committee and the board on Monday. So has anyone not seen the incident report for the pole that was struck by a dump truck? Has everyone seen that?
Mhm.
Okay. I did not mention, but as I went through my emails, Tony did also see it happen um, as like a secondary witness to hey, we should heads up, something happened to one of the poles in our town where we are likely to be connected.
Yeah,
Uh,
I asked Graham if he lost connectivity
yeah,
at all. He said he didn't.
Yeah, we lost power, or the power basically browned out.
Right. And I
So,
know in Kodama lost power and probably some other places along that road lost power.
yeah.
Not, the other direction, towards Freeville from where you are.
yes.
But
And what was interesting when I was on the broadband committee thing, I lost my computer, finally just decided that it wasn't going, that connection wasn't going to work, but the fiber with the wireless I suspect because I have solar that there was enough power just that it kept solar kept running. And that just kept my router and my uh the the device that connects to the fiber running.
Right.
So I could stayed on the meeting. So
I think you mentioned that during the meeting. So that the
yeah,
truck
that's
Right,
hit,
right.
right.
So that is when the truck hit the pole, right?
Hit the
Was during the
pole.
meeting there.
it
Yeah.
was, yeah, because Graham mentioned it. Because
Yeah.
I thought it happened a little bit later. I didn't get that first contact from Bill Alger, who happened to drive by until 2:40 p.m. And then Tony like around 3-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Um,
was around 10:30 or so, or 10
Yeah.
or
It was a little after,
11 them,
yeah,
yeah,
when it
that it
happened.
went
But it
out.
was it was that was quite the thing. So did you said no customers lost fiber? Is
no.
that because the fiber line never broke, or did it feed from the other direction? Do we know?
Um, both. No.
Okay.
The fiber never broke. The pole that snapped, the pole had to be replaced. When the pole snapped off, all the lines came down, the electrical.
Right.
I think the electrical probably has a very I'm not an electrician. I don't work for a power company. I think their automatic shutoff is pretty light touch, so you don't have live wires out there.
Right.
So our our stranded fiber, same thing with Frontier and Spectrum, it's pretty hardened material,
Right.
so it can withstand coming down off the pole, having the pole get knocked over. And then I wasn't there between 10:30 and 3 o'clock to see how they brought the fiber and the other two utilities, Frontier and Spectrum, down to the ground. I don't know if they gently brought it down, but basically they chopped off the part of the pole. I think it's in the picture I sent that has that had our connections to it. So they brought that down to the ground, and in that it was intact completely, um, for us to just detach and then attach to the new pole once the new pole was installed. A couple of things that happen is we do not use that line along Route 366 as part of our backbone. The backbone for that area is through the rail trail. It's a long spur that comes from Freeville underground to about Mill Street and then aerial from Mill down Main Street, Route 366 toward Upper Creek Road. And then it kind of ends there because the service on Upper Creek Road is not live yet. In Kodama, we could provide service even though they're not in a green zone. Um, and I believe south of the river on 366, we have customers on that part of in Etna on 366, but it comes from Etna
They're
Lane.
com they're coming off the backbone, off the rail trail.
What comes up rail trail
Yeah.
down Etna to the
Yeah.
Etna post office, and then south
Um,
on Lower Creek Road, and also north by Etna Mill, because we have some houses there.
Right.
But for whatever reason, that area does not, we don't have customers at that Upper Creek Road intersection.
Yeah,
So
we
even
aren't happy about that,
I
Dave.
don't know what the outage was. That, Graham?
We aren't happy about that.
No, I mean, we're still building it. I don't know what would have happened if the line had been severed there, how much of an outage it would have been. We haven't done that assessment. There's
Right.
about a dozen other things we're working on. But there was that recovery, uh, with Syracuse Utilities sending a crew down to reattach. Now, I put it in the incident report. In the ideal world, when this happens, the owner of the pole or DOT is supposed to call all the utilities and say, "Hey, we have a pole down. Your utilities are on the ground." That never happened. I
Hmm.
I reached out to Integrity around 3:30, and they were like, "We've received no calls from DOT, from the state, or from NYSEG saying there's a downed pole." Uh, it wouldn't have really mattered because even at 3:30, Syracuse dispatched their crew. They arrived between 4:30, and 5. They were done by 6. They couldn't have done anything any sooner because this is what the state, when I was there at 3:30 p.m., with the pole being cut with our stuff
Right.
attached to it there. Like this pole, I don't. maybe you can see in this previous, yeah, they have the bucket truck where they're still hooking the electrical utility service to the pole. So even
Yeah,
if we had been there between 10:30 and 3:30 with our crew, we wouldn't have been able to do anything
right.
until
Because they were
daytime.
attaching the they were doing all the electrical stuff first. Yep.
Yeah. And then possibly Frontier and then Spectrum and then us.
Yeah, they just cut that pole off where it laid after it was knocked over. Because the picture I sent you has the pole in it, and it's just
Hmm.
that's pretty much where it's laying.
Oh, I don't think I saw a picture when you sent it.
Oh,
You sent it to me, Tony. I know you
no,
teamed
I
me.
sent it to Dave too. I said
Okay.
I thought,
Maybe it didn't download the image. So I mean, we were lucky that it didn't take out the main line. We're lucky that it didn't take out a line where we actually have service directly
right.
connected. We're lucky that the line didn't snap at all. It didn't require any splicing. And that it happened on a relatively blue sky day on a Friday afternoon when Syracuse could dispatch because they weren't doing other things. A couple of years from now,
So,
when they're not in the area as much, or when if there's a snowstorm, ice storm, things could have been different, or even a different part of our network.
so Dave, is each utility responsible for rehanging their piece, or would NYSEG just rehang that? They won't touch it.
Now, what you can't see in these pictures is just to the right of this is a whole line of bucket trucks from Frontier and Spectrum and Sirius Utilities on Upper Creek Road waiting for access to put their stuff back on. It's not like DigSafe where
Hmm.
there's like you call USIC and they do all the markouts for all utilities. Everyone's responsible for their own reattachments to the poles,
Yeah.
which again, like if this didn't get spotted by Bill or by Tony and we hadn't dispatched anyone, I don't know how long they would just allow us to have our fiber across the road and keep the road closed. Like, imagine like once Frontier and Spectrum were done, they're like, no one from Dryden Fiber showed up. We're not just going to leave it on the ground.
So
So
the only
Dave,
notification you got was somebody happened to drive by and see it.
Yes, and the same thing for Frontier. Frontier guys were like, we just happened to be driving by. We never got a call. So this could be a bigger like DOT NYSEG
Yeah.
question. Like, how do you actually, like this is not the first poll that's ever been snapped. We have, I think Brad has the number. I think we have permits for 4,970 polls. This is not the last time it's going to happen. But if we're relying on our people just driving around seeing things or DOT NYSEG calling us, it's a lot of risk.
Hmm.
so is the plan to reach out to NYSEG to see how it's supposed to work, or DOT, and follow up on that?
Yeah, I think that's what makes sense as the next step
Yeah.
out of this.
And I'm assuming that the insurance of carrier of the dump truck would be the ones that actually pay for that Syracuse Utilities work, right?
That is a good question.
I mean, because it cost Dryden Fiber something to have Syracuse
Mhm.
Utilities come down and reattach, right? I would assume that that's covered under the insurance, you know, for
That is a great question.
Yeah, it should. I mean, we have insurance it would probably, it's like yeah, I mean, that ultimately the insurance for the dump, whoever is insuring the dump truck or that company, if they're self-insured, is responsible.
right.
But for right now, if we reported it to our insurance, they're going to go to the other insurance company and then
Right.
try to recover from them.
The- Yeah,
Um,
my point is some way it's covered. This should be covered under insurance. So when these kind of things happen, these things should be covered under insurance and not a operational expense to Dryden Fiber.
yeah.
Amanda?
Yeah, we can look into that. There could be a deductible, so we'll have to check
There
on,
could be,
yeah, some of those details.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but yeah, if we get the details, I can follow up with our insurance agent.
We have not received a bill from Syracuse Utilities for this repair. Um, I just talked to Sean Scorzelli over the phone at the time of the incident when I was standing there. He said, we only charge time and materials for this. There's nothing else. So um, They typically only invoice once a month or so. So I don't know when we'll have the cost for this repair. When we do, I'll share it with the committee
Right.
so you have some idea what this looks like. But we should probably assess our insurance and have them work on this on our behalf.
So is this something Clarity could do, or does it require Syracuse Utilities? Or
Um, it's a good question. It's possible that Clarity could do some of this. Um, it's possible.
well, they're generally a little more local, is what I'm thinking there. But
Yeah, they're local. They have bucket trucks. I don't know if they hang stranded wire and fiber on poles. I know they could do the splicing. There was a splicing issue, so it's possible.
Yeah, that would have been a much more significant repair if they'd had to resplice something.
Definitely. Or
Like
if,
if
yeah,
the cable had actually broken, yeah.
I mean, there's slack on these poles for this reason, so
Right.
it's going to happen. Uh,
There was a lot on that pole.
there's a lot happening all at once. Um, and as you can see, like the crews, this is a very common area apparently, from what the neighbor said. So this is the fourth stop sign that has been blown out. Um, the stop sign is like right behind this car.
Yeah. Yeah, that stop sign's been knocked down more than once. Yeah.
Four times this year already, and it's only January this season. All right. Any other questions on
Should be
this?
flashing lights there or something.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the curve, so they come around from Freeville, they're whipping by in Kodama, and then all of a sudden it gets narrow and turns, and there's the bridge, and you only have to look at your phone on your lap for a minute, for a second, to be distracted enough to hit something and to leave the road. Uh, the truck also like narrowly avoided going right where my cursor is into the creek, like
Yeah.
a few feet either side. They don't hit that pole. They're in the creek. Those is a whole other issue. All right. Annual operations checklist. So, uh, moving on to this. So, we put a bunch of categories together: management leadership, reviewing contracts, required reporting, governance, compliance, network performance. Let's see. Then the numbering gets little screwed up in our document. Construction, customer service, financial review. We're not going to go over all these. The idea is just to start assessing what do we want to be covering in this kind of organizational meeting and what stuff can we get done kind of with a shorter conversation. The very easy one, perhaps, are the three meetings we have set. First is public broadband committee meetings, the operations team, and then town board meetings. So town board meetings are set. Mark Whitmer's from Caroline's here. I think they moved their meetings to Thursdays. Is that true, Mark? Maybe he's not here. Is your town board meeting Wednesday or Thursday this year?
It's meeting on Thursdays at 7 o'clock. We changed it.
And it's the
5th of February,
third Thursday or the first Thursday?
first and third Thursdays.
Okay.
First and third. So the business meeting would be the third, but we can do business on the first Thursday as well. So
Okay. And Dryden is second and third Thursday?
Yes.
All right. Operation team has been meeting every other Wednesday, 10:30 to noon via Zoom. The public broadband committee meets first and third Fridays. We have it 10:30 to noon. In July, we have moved it the last couple of years because last year, July 6th was the first Friday, and no one wanted to meet in the middle of the long Independence Day weekend. This year, July 3rd is the Friday. So for July and August, I would recommend having the meetings be for June be the June 5th and 19th, the normal times. July would be the 10th and 24th.
sounds good.
July 10, July. For August, that would make the meeting August 7th and 21st to keep on the 1st and 3rd, which is enough. It's 2 weeks between the 24th and the 7th. Last year, we pushed it out because it would have, the 1st of August was a Friday, so we would have had meetings back to back. So in August, we also pushed it out to the 2nd and 4th. But this year, we don't have to do that because the first Friday of August is the 7th. Only change is in July. August to December continues 1st and 3rd. All good? Will Cassie's not on, but when she works on the minutes from this, we'll have her update the calendar that's posted on our page as well as the actual invite for the July meetings. Other than that, we should be good for Fridays, 1st and 3rd throughout the rest of the year. With one other exception, which is Friday, April 3rd is Good Friday, I believe. Yeah. Is that a conflict for anyone?
It's in the morning, right? Yeah, no.
I have it as a red dated holiday on my map, on my calendar, so I don't know if that means holiday for anyone. It's also school vacation week for the Ithaca district.
It's not a federal holiday, so it's
Right.
not an official bank closures, post office closure type of day.
Good. Cool. That was the easy one for organizational. Um, Amanda, you want to talk us through the review all contracts and where we are with these?
Sure. Would you mind bringing up that document that I made just as a so they can see what I started?
Where is that one?
I think it's in the same folder, organizational minutes and meeting notes in the SharePoint.
Yeah.
So basically, I've started, and Matt has got quite a bit of it already. Also, we gotta go back and look at it some more. Just going through like what vendors do we currently have on under contract? And what's their status in terms of are they up for renewal? Did they have any price changes? Do we have insurance documentation for them? And then how are they, I don't say performing, but are we satisfied with what they are doing? Um, you also wanted to look at, did any of the contracts have a not to exceed statement in the resolution or in the contract to ensure that that we're staying underneath that approval? And then do we need to make any changes? Or what do we need to look at in the coming year? So that's basically the point to what we were doing. There was quite a few that when I went through, I was like, well, we changed this in 25, we changed this in 25.
These are the documents I have. Are there other
Oh,
documents or another folder?
well, I know it's in there. I'm not in it right now. Hang on. So just while I'm looking for this,
Sorry.
so just went through to see like what have we done? And we've done a lot of changes in the past year. So that, I was like, okay, that one's good, that one's good. We're gonna be following up on um, insurance documents to ensure that we have those because those are important um, for our own insurance. Let's see, I would think it would be in here. Oh, it's not
Is there
there.
another folder?
All right, let me go look at one other spot. Send it to you, Dave. All right, there it is. I've got it, Dave. I found it.
What's it called or where is it?
It's called, oh shoot, that wasn't there. That was not that. That was yours. Go back. Thought I had it. Oh, there. That's what I missed. All right, do you want me to just share my screen for a moment?
I can just do it. Just tell me the name of the file. It's in SharePoint.
Yeah, I just gotta find the right where it is because
I
it's
can
in
search for it
here.
if you give me the file name.
Called Contract Review 2026.
Let me go to the top level. Maybe it's
Finance
hidden.
Internal. That was a mistake. Go to Documents. Right there. It's probably gonna come up now.
But, it's coming. Here we go.
Yep,
All
now
right.
you got it. So basically I went through and said, here's their tasks or skills. Do we have a contract with them? Does it have an end date? Was there any pricing changes? Do we have insurance documents? And then overall, how do we feel that it's going? So you can see here we had we added in 25, we updated pricing in 2025. Integrity, reached a threshold, so their pricing is going to change in 26. Plume, we have updated pricing. I did make a note here for a billing program. We are going to need to start researching a new billing program because we are going to outgrow the current billing program. It's only the annual subscription is like $2,700 a year and then 100 and some each month. But I know we looked at some other ones long ago that there were thousands and thousands of dollars, but we're starting to get to that point. So this was just kind of the point to go through. We're going to be updating this, looking at this more closely once we get the MIP reimbursement submitted in full to really update this and ensure we have insurance. Are we missing any that I didn't list? And so on. So again, just trying to review what are we currently doing so we're not just doing the same thing just because that's what we've done before.
So there's quite a few things on here. Is it big enough that you can see what it says?
Yep.
Even bigger. Is there anything we left out?
So,
Or any questions on what the task skill job is for any of these?
Amanda, what do you mean we're going to outgrow Stacks, Bill?
Meaning like it's not going to be as effective when we are 1,000 customers.
Okay.
It's manageable it's manageable at 500, but it starts to become time consuming trying to track down information. It's still very functional. I don't want to think it's not working. It's working, but it just needs, I think we're going to need a more enhanced with, would love to see it integrate directly with Netegrity. So we're not like they enter the customer information, then I have to enter, or Matt enters it directly into Stack's bill. So it's like a multiple entry right now. It'd be nice
Yeah.
to have something that integrates, something that, even like if we have a non-payment, we can shut service off. Because right now I have to email and say, hey, turn them off. They haven't paid. But then, which is fine. Again, it gives us a double check. But at the same time, I just think we're going to need something a little more more user friendly on our side.
Yeah, just bigger feature set, more robust, more useful, maybe more automation. Right now, when a customer signs up, they fill out the request service form manually, they type it in. Then Netegrity manually types that into their system so they can track the lead. Then Clarity has to have it typed into their system so I can go to the house for the install. And then we type into the billing software the fourth time.
Well,
It is not moved.
Stacksville says they have an API,
Yeah.
a REST API.
Yeah, there are some APIs. Some of them are like with the classic QuickBooks or other accounting programs. So it's something we need to do some research on and then work
Okay.
with our partners to see like, will this work? Can we all use the same program? We're not really sure. We
Right.
need to ensure that Netegrity has what they need to do their job because they are our customer support and kind of frontline at times with our customers. So it's something we're researching, but we need to research. But again, we've been very focused on construction and MIP that in the
Right.
back of my head for about a year and a half, I've been like, yeah, this is great, but it's not gonna. But I remember one of the first quotes we got early on in this process was like it was gonna be like $150,000 for a billing program. And we were all like, well, stop. Let's
Well, if you look at something like NetSuite or something like that, yeah, that's
Yeah. So
that's
just something that
yeah,
is,
yeah,
again, this is just the chance to go, hey, what's
yeah,
working, what's not working?
yeah.
What do we need to look at differently? What do we need to bid out? What needs to be adjusted because of the contract's ending? All of those um, factors that need to
Do
be
we
thought.
have any idea what NetTarget is using?
I don't. Again, this has been kind of a,
Yeah. Okay.
you know, it's on the top shelf and I can't reach it yet.
Okay.
Amanda, if you want, our client base, uses probably 3 or 4 different telecom specific platforms. If
hmm
you want to kick the tires on those, I can get you some names or contacts.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to
Because
be sometime in the coming year, we need to start just, yeah, checking some
Yeah.
out and seeing what's out there.
it just kind of depends on what feature set you want. A lot of them have mapping integrated right into it and automatic provisioning and stuff that you're speaking to. So
Yeah,
I can get you some information on that.
that'd be great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Clarity has their own that they built in-house because Clarity does both installations as well as software development as like a different branch of the business. So this is one of the places that could be a solution for this problem. When I log into their system, this is what it looks like. Like this is their calendar showing today and all the installs they have scheduled and implemented with all the details of each install that they're like capturing, but they're rekeying this information. Now, when Integrity schedules, they log in here and they can see what's available to be scheduling these resources from Clarity on their behalf.
Mhm.
Tom from Clarity is like, we can do whatever we want with this. This could be integrated directly into the sign up form. Our sign up form right now has, I don't know, 50 different statuses because we're using it to not just have the status of the request, but also where they fall in um, within the areas of Dryden. I'm using that field for that. But there's at least 15 or 16 different distinct statuses of sign up for service, not in the green zone, live, canceled, talking to the landlord, one of those things. It would be good to have all that in one single place instead of just basically a spreadsheet. So there's some of that CRM components to the billing, scheduling, request service integration. As Amanda said, our priority has been construction, but this will sneak up on us as we go from, I think we have like 1,800 leads now and 500 customers. When we get to like 5,000 leads, you can't just scroll up and down and try to find stuff.
Right.
Hope we don't miss anything.
And, yeah.
Well, if you want help looking at that stuff, there's a couple of us on this call that do a lot of
Mhm.
integration work and that kind of stuff. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be great. We'll probably be, like I said, it's probably gonna be a later project of this
yeah,
year,
yeah, yeah,
but it's
Yeah.
definitely
that's fun.
on the horizon. So yeah, we'll
Yeah.
probably be coming to you with questions and thoughts and input. especially as customers, like what do you want to see? What don't you want to see? I think that's the other key. Like we need to think about, yes, it has to be workable internally, but we also need our customers to be able to use it
Mhm.
easily.
Yeah.
For
I
the
think
build,
there's I think there's at
it's good.
least three of us on here that are experienced in uh going through RFPs, implementing vendor systems and integrating them with other systems. Um, just a thought.
Okay,
You know. I mean,
great.
yeah.
Oh.
I think a year ago we said we wanted to have this done in 2025,
Yeah.
but we were also projecting to have built,
Yeah. Yeah.
three or
Yeah,
four or 5,005.
and Stacks was extremely price competitive for what we needed it at the time. So
Right.
and they might be it had some expansion and stuff in it. So yeah,
Yeah, it
but I
does.
don't
Yeah,
think we're
I
wedded
it
to it.
looks like they've got some good integration capabilities and stuff. So yeah, it's yeah.
And it yeah. So
Anyway, yeah.
but knowing what Net Integrity uses and also what Vantiv customers use is, we started from nothing basically and found this program.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
and it and so I think we can do a better in depth if we have more time to do it. So
Yeah.
Um, Amanda, we have insurance here and insurance here. Are these two different
Oh
types
yeah,
of?
one I believe is there's basically two policies, and I'm gonna remember one might be our cybersecurity policy, and the other might be is our general property and umbrella. Um, so there's two insurance. It's it's a one policy, but it's two agents, two companies. So yeah, I can be a little more specific about those policies.
Good. I mean, right now we don't have a way necessarily to assess these. Some of them, like once you're in, like I say, automatically renew, but the contracts are automatically renewing. So year after year, or in some cases, they're very long contracts. I think the Plume is a 3-year contract. So we have some time between now and when we can really look at that again. But we did just sign the revised version and reduced our expense by about $1,500 a month
Yeah, big.
starting this month.
and do we have one with the other vendor who's we're looking at their equipment
So
or
Plume is
Sienna or
providing the cloud services. Um, as like a sub part of them providing cloud services,
yeah.
we have Plume pods for the hardware. We're looking at two others, Evolution and Zytel. We don't have an agreement with them because we're still testing their equipment. That might take a while. I just dropped them off literally yesterday with Clarity for them to deploy, hopefully in the next few weeks, and then have them out there for 30 to 60 days, and then assess is a single Zytel device or Evolution device at the price point better than giving people 2 or 3 Plume devices.
And do we need Sienna in this list and the other, those sort of things or
Yeah, we do need to see those. I knew I was missing some, so I figured we'll be working through some of those
Alex and
as
Sienna,
we.
Those are the two that we wrote down for Graham to see if he could remember.
yeah.
Not really. We forgot. Network ring and then fiber to the premises. And we do have contracts with them.
Yes.
And there is an end date, I guess.
And do we have a contract with Graybar? Or
Well,
is that
not a,
under the state? It's under the state
yeah,
contract, I
it's under
assume.
the
Yeah,
Omnia
yeah,
contract, which is a
yeah,
national.
yeah.
So and it's just equipment now. It's all we purchase from Graybar.
So, Dave, when we look at this, or at least when I look at this, the responsibilities of Syracuse Utility is basically our construction, but do we actually have a separate contract with them for doing the fix like they did? Or do we need one?
We do need one for a couple things. One is we need one for them for this. Like they know the network, they're capable, they're close by. We should have a contract that says here's the stated time of materials. So when they come in, we know how to reach out to them, what their turnaround time is, nights, weekends, emergencies. There's also a separate one that I'm working with Philips Light on a contract for other maintenance and repair, like within the POPs, if there is splicing work, um, changing filters on things. Uh, the physical hardware work that has to get done that is not Integrity's software updates. Uh, Possibly that would be offered to Clarity, but we're still working on the contract with Philips Lytle to see what that would look like. But that should be on here too. Um,
Basically maintenance or
Right. There's really sort of two types of maintenance, right? Somebody damages the line from the pole or the handhold to the house, and then, you know, and maintenance of the pops and all that stuff, and then there's like what happened with the dump truck, right? Where you have damage to, or this storm we got going on, we could get some damage from, or the big storm that's supposed to come tonight, tomorrow, right?
yeah, or somebody backhoes one of our lines. So that's the other
One of
thing
our
that's
main
going to
lines,
happen.
right? Yeah, that would be bad.
Good one. Good thoughts. Other ones? DigSafe started this week too, so that has been moved
All
from
that. Yeah.
that tandem of Dryden Highway Department and Syracuse Utilities from Bill Alger. This is all with USIC now. We'll be able to start to assess the cost of that um, monthly versus um, how we've been managing to just get by last year, and how I believe Hunt did all the DigSafe for us for like 9 months and then sent us one single bill. So it'll be a lot easier to monitor that.
Do we need Richardson and in there as well, or we don't directly contract with them? They're contracted through NICEAG for the
Mm,
polls, or
They're definitely like a spot. They win the bids. That's how they get the work from us, Danella and Richardson. So we put that work out to bid per poll permit package up to
Mhm.
150 polls, and then each of those companies bid on it. And based on the pricing of that individual bid is how it gets awarded, or the billable and non-billable part. I don't know that that would necessarily be part of this contract review. We don't have a long-term contract with them, and the whatever pricing they change, it's competitive with the very next bid.
But the area of maintenance and repair, they probably do similar kinds of things. So,
That's true. I mean,
and
they're around during those maintenance events. Uh, this overall satisfaction column could be used to say, you know what, we worked with HRS, Richardson and Son, or Danella for 10 electrical make ready packages out of 40, and we were unsatisfied. We just automatically aren't going to award it to them.
Mhm.
That might just come up on its own as we're doing this work. Once the construction is done, we won't have that need for Dryden, Carolina in the immediate future. Uh, that's probably something that would be useful to track. So it's not just like some institutional memory of like Amanda and Dave remember that we had problems with XYZ subcontractor vendor once. We shouldn't go with them. Other ones?
What about financial stuff like the bonds and the ban and stuff? Is that handled by the town or you?
So that's kind of under the financial side. It's not really a contract. So that's something that would probably be in another category.
Oh,
And that's probably gonna be more when we talk next month about the budget and financing and so on. It would be my first guess. I was trying to keep this to just like the contract that the people doing the companies doing work for the project um, in this spreadsheet itself.
That's true. Are there other alternative bond companies besides the one that we work with?
Not really. That's one of the challenges because we are so unique. In fact, the town did use a different legal bond uh, attorney, but he wasn't comfortable with the broadband, and so we switched to a different company.
Hmm.
So um, basically, we have an attorney that handles all of that in the background. So
Gotcha. We'll talk about the bond whole process next month. We talk about finance. So I guess for tasks out of this, um, Clary Connect, we have original pricing for installs from before I was here, 2021,
mhm.
2022.
Yeah.
We probably should ask them for any update to.
Yeah, I mean, we might even need to be looking for how about probably need to look at a contract, getting a
Yeah.
contract in place. Right now, it's kind of I don't think it's a official.
Cogent, no changes for now. Insurance is new. DigitalOcean is our website hosting. Um, no changes for there. First Light, marketing, Labella. I think we're kind of in with all those. Integrity, Phillips Lytle, Plume, we just changed stacks. We talked about that as a 2026 thing to do. Syracuse, USIC is new. Vantage, Windstream, Galax. Galax is new. Just started this year. We need to see out the contract for Syracuse and Clarity for maintenance. So I think those are our tasks. Just those four. That sound right, Amanda?
Yep.
Or and from the committee, any other thoughts on these contractors? Is there a different method that you're using? I know a lot of you are Cornell, but not all of you, to assess subs annually, quarterly, every decade. Any other methodology?
Not really. Um, we tend to look at things approaching renewals,
Mhm.
um, review contracts, that kind of stuff. In some cases, put out RFPs like we have one out right now for a very large system that, we're just looking to see what else is out there because we've been with the one for 20 years and do we want to see what else is out there?
And you're going to stay with Cornell until it's implemented completely?
I am not.
That's what I thought. Sure, guys. Good luck.
It's not going to be my problem.
All right. All right. Annual contracts. Reviewing end dates, price changes, automatic extensions, insurance. Any contracts that have a not to exceed statement in resolution approval? Do we have any of these today? Not to exceed.
I think we did. We just did one not too long ago
Yeah, that for the IP.
for all. That's right. For purchasing for purchasing the additional IPs, we said not to exceed.
That's true.
Yeah. I
That
think
I
it's
mean that was a specific purchase more
Yeah.
than an ongoing
That,
contract. Well, but it is. I mean, it's contracting for IP addresses.
yeah.
But yeah, that's one I can think of off the top of my head because we just did it.
And I think it's something that we just need to go back and do some research on the approvals of each of these contracts and just look at the resolutions.
I
So
can't think of,
that's a follow-up step that needs to happen.
Mhm.
I can't think of any that have a not to exceed. Maybe Kyle from marketing. I think we have it up to $1,500 a month, but we haven't even spent, we've hardly spent that much at all in the,
Hmm.
however long it's been, 9 months, 10 months.
Yeah.
I think Jason might remember uh, when we contracted Mike Dara to do the website. I thought that had a not to exceed in it.
I think it did. I
Yeah, I
want to say
think
that was
so.
like 4,000 or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
we pay them the payments and we haven't paid him since.
Right.
Unless he's done some little one-off jobs, like little minor.
Yeah, yeah.
Not since I've been here.
Yeah.
Almost
I
3
don't
years.
think he's done anything else
Yeah,
for
I
us.
don't think he has, but but as I recall that contract with him for the initial website had a not to exceed in it. But
Not to exceed list. Nothing right now.
those are the only things the IP addresses and like that Graham brought up and the
Yeah.
um
That's a one-time purchase, so it should be a little easier for us to
right.
manage around. Um,
Well, it's
no,
going to be harder to do, if you think about some of these maintenance things, right? Like how do you put a not to exceed on you know, storm damage repair or
I mean, if Sean was like, he could have said, this is why we went on a contract. He could say, you know what, it's Friday afternoon, it's 3:30, it's a 3-day weekend. We can do it today for 5 grand,
yeah,
or we do it on Monday for 1 grand. You make the
yeah,
call. And if
yeah,
the contract says we will spend X up not to exceed this dollar amount on a purchase for emergency, it probably would be a good idea to have those things not have to be decided at the time of.
right.
Yes.
Yeah, because he could have said, like, you know what, we're rolling into the end of the business week hours, and we're not in market. We have to get a crew down there from somewhere else with a truck. All right, any unnecessary spending? Accounting creates full vendor list. We accounting and executive director review together. I think we've been tightening it down quite a bit in the last year on our own. Um, we probably would have to look at every single expense item in the entire budget. This is something that we do not at this meeting, but sometime maybe in Q1 or in Q4. Do any of your organizations that you're in have any kind of methodology for reviewing all other non-contractual spending?
Yeah, they had to do yearly budgeting. So,
Yeah. That's all done as part of the yearly budgeting process.
yeah.
And we have huge systems in place for doing that.
Yeah.
Like processes or software systems?
Both.
Oh. Amanda, do you want to schedule a time to review our list of things sometime this quarter?
Yeah, we can schedule it like you, and myself.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we can do that here in the next month or so. As I'm working through year end, so I'll document everything will
As
be ready.
I mean, I know we go through the budget as one of the things on the monthly agendas, or there's the part of one of the monthly meetings where we go through like where we are with income and expenses. But as far as is does Dryden Fiber develop a budget each year or and when does that happen? And like, is it part of the town's budget development? Because I know, the town board goes through this whole budget development thing every year. Is Dryden Fiber part of that?
They are
On
not
an
part of
annual
that
basis.
Okay,
because they are not funded by taxpayer dollar. They are not
right,
funded by tax revenue.
right,
But I have been working through cash flows and budgets over the past, well, since the project started to ensure we have cash. Where are we going to need cash? And obviously, it's always budgeting for a capital project is not for the faint of heart.
right.
Because it's not like,
You're
oh, you
absolutely
always
right.
have this expense. It's you have this expense and then it changes. So we've been working through actually even for 26 with projections for 27 and 28. We've always been working like a 3 year, what
Right.
happens. So we're going to be kind of really getting that, I don't say finalized, but as finalized as the budget can get over the next few weeks in preparation for that February meeting, but also in preparation for the additional ban that we need
Yeah.
to request. We're looking at when the MIP reimbursement comes in, are we going to pay off the old ban? We've got questions about the time, how long to pay off a ban. There's a lot of financial, like we're looking at to start to say long term, how are we going to start? Especially as we move out of construction phase by 2 years from now, how are we, uh, the revenue source has got to cover its expenses and so on. So there's been a lot of conversations, projections, and so on that we're working through. You'll probably hear more about that in about a month when we have that meeting in
Okay.
February.
Okay.
Now, we had a retreat sort of thing that we did. I thought was useful, and we covered a lot of these things. I think it was last year, where we all got in person to help understand where we're headed.
Yeah, that was in January
So,
of last year. We could do that sometime this quarter too. Yeah.
I think it's useful.
and
Well, and again, it's just, I mean, you're developing this stuff. You have to in order to know what we're doing with the bands and all of that, right? So it would be good to just, I guess, not formalize it, but just have it as part of one of the reports is here, here's the budget we developed, or here's our projections for the next um if you're doing a 3 year projection, that kind of thing. I think that's all really good.
Yeah. So I think it's a great input back that we can go as we're working through the into the next uh, finance reporting uh, the first meeting of the month
Right.
is adjusting some of those reports. I've been working those differently if you look at it over the past 2 years, like 1 year it was this, and then next year I changed it to this, trying to find the best way to present the information without overwhelming
Right.
the board with too much detail on one screen. So,
yeah.
so yeah, no, I appreciate the input. We can definitely look into that for changing that for 2026 as financial reporting.
Yeah, and have the idea that, well, we're going to have to replace certain equipment in 7 years or whatever the
Right.
year end of life is, whether it really is that, but have some sort of idea that we're going to have, well, not huge expenses, but fairly large expenses out of that wouldn't normally be each year to replace all the equipment in the pop, for instance. So
Yeah. Yep. That's kind
we
of been
want to
part of,
plan on that, those sort of things as well to have an idea,
yeah.
which I don't know if we've really, I mean, I haven't really thought about that very much, but
It's come up in conversations when we've been talking with Caroline, working with Caroline's for their cash flow. We've talked about it. So it's again, because it's a couple years out, but at the same time, we know it's going to be there, that we need to be budgeting for reserves for that type of replacement.
Right.
yeah, because it's going to reduce our ability to pay down our bands. So, I mean,
Right.
that's really what it's going to do. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the upcoming conversations would be the Dried Fiber annual budget on February 20th, MDUs March 20th, and then marketing in April. We could schedule this annual budget for it to be an in-person that Friday. It's like 4 weeks from now. We could do it a little bit longer, like 9 to noon. It doesn't have to be just 10:30 to noon. And that might give us a little bit more time to go over in depth the entire annual budget as well as the 3-year projections. Last year we did it. It was a little bit was on education of like here's how this all fits together. But I think since then we've learned a lot about how it all fits together, and what has to get done to hit our goals. Are you feeling like you want to spend the morning of the 20th? And are you available? Or should we look at a different time later in the first half of the year?
Only thing I'll say is that is President's Week. So if anybody is number one going to well, Jason's the only one going to the AOT. Well, maybe Dan is. The AOT conference is that week. And if you have, I believe schools could be closed that week, but I don't know that for sure.
It is school vacation week.
So just as we look at our calendars.
Same as that April 3rd meeting.
Mm.
So we have this meeting on 2 Fridays of school vacation weeks this year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm going to be out of town probably then, so I think so. I've got something on my calendar.
Well, let's
For
just
the
put a pin in it.
20th.
We can find a different time in March or April to do it in person.
Yeah, I actually have to be in Rochester, I think, so I might be able to do the morning, but that'd be a little difficult. So it's
All right. Why don't we continue on with the list? We'll look at the next one, which is required reporting and who is responsible. Um, Again, this is something that mostly Amanda has gathered from notifications that filter directly to me or to Jason. And then because a lot of these have some financial component or just historically, Amanda has been monitoring these things on behalf of the project as the first town employee on the project. Do you want to go over these 3 things?
Yeah, so basically the first one is the FCC annual report. This we're required to file with the FCC. Basically, we have to just tell them our revenue from the past year for telecommunication services. This eventually does turn into a bill. We have to pay in a fee depending on our revenue. But it doesn't come in the report. I do the report, and then usually 2 months later, we get this cryptic email, and we're like, "Is this real?" And then I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's real." So that's the FCC report. And we are also required semi-annually for the federal broadband data map to update our current offerings. So this way, as residents, if they go search what is their offering for broadband or fiber or internet services at this address, our name comes up if it's one that we have service to. This is done semi-annually. Basically, I just have to get a CSX file, which is a data file from engineering. They provide this to us of all the locations with service, and then tell them how many are residents and how many are commercial. And census tracts. I have to tell them which census tracts certain ones are in. I get all of that out of the billing program. So this is done January to June, July to December, and it's always due March 1st and then September 1st. So that's on my calendar for reminders right now. There is also that just came up this year in New York State, decided they had to have their fancy broadband data map. So we had to send them similar to the same file. And again, I imagine they'll poke us when they want that. Neither one of these have fees related to them. We don't have to pay any tax on them or, any fees related to it. It's just a required reporting. The last one there is the New York State Affordable Broadband Act exemption. New York State and Dave might be able to speak better to this, but basically New York State has a law that says, I don't know if it's a law or an act that says if you live in a certain area, you can only have to pay $15, $20, $30 for your internet. But we could request to be exempt because we're a new provider. We have limited customers. There was a whole list of items. And after, I think, 6 months of going back and forth, they said we didn't get it. We submitted it. It was one of those type of deals. they approved our
Took us
exemption.
I think it took us almost a year to get it completely processed. Um, the law requires large internet providers to offer 25 meg or more plans for no more than $15 per month. They can also comply with law by offering 200 meg for no more than 20 per month. Um, there's all the eligibility requirements for the consumers, for the customers, and then there is a lengthy part of this law, which is not published here, on, on exemptions. And we applied, we reapplied a third time, and then finally they said we were accepted. And basically, it's like by large, um, they mean like 20,000 customers. At the time when we applied, I think we had 200 customers. Now they had two different methods of applying. One was like a stated, here's our situation. We're small, we're new, we've only reached 1,000 houses. We have 200 customers. The other was like a much more in-depth analysis of budgets and costs and dollars and households and projections. And even though the law says you can do the one page stated in the law, they rejected it every time we did that.
Yeah,
Like
they
we're
required
small.
us to do the long version, so we had to
They
go
were
through
like,
that
we're
process.
like, we don't have time to spend 20 hours coming up with all the data behind our exemption when you've put it in the law to allow for a one page. They said, no, we want the full detail. So then we spent many hours gathering data and working with our attorneys to put together a package that then they eventually allowed us uh, to get the waiver.
Yeah. Basically, the point is this exemption though expires, and so we wanted to put this on the organizational notes to say we need to remember that we have to renew it. We need to review this and renew again before, or if we can renew, are we eligible by 11 of 2027? So I should say, if anybody remembers, there used to be a federal program with a similar,
Right.
and it ended just as we were kind of really starting. So we couldn't take advantage of that. And I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. ACP. I think there was a federal ACP program, Affordable Connectivity Program,
Right.
that basically didn't get funded, so it ended. But this is the New York State one. We're not saying that someday we won't be part of it, but at this time, it didn't make sense.
Yeah, I think we're not operating in the black. We have a lot to pay for the construction, and it would have taken out not nothing in our income. Somewhere between like, I don't even know, 7 and 20% of our income would be taken out.
Yeah, because I think we would find that many of our customers would qualify because one of the things was the schools are eligible for free lunches, I think was one of them. And I believe Ithaca recently was awarded, and I believe Dryden is. And I'm kind of going on memory on that one.
Yeah, it's basically like one of the ways you can apply for this is by saying you have free school lunch.
Right.
Because that's
Which,
a qualifier. However, in both Dryden School District and Ithaca City School District, everyone gets free lunch.
Right.
Therefore, any family who has children in the Ithaca or Dryden school system could say, I can apply for and receive reduced broadband, every 100% of families,
Right.
because 100% of families have free lunch through the
But is
schools.
it, I think the key there is it's whether it's a national school lunch program or is it a local one? That's what it says on the act here.
yeah.
So
That's
So there was
good.
a
there
lot
might,
to it. And
yeah,
so
so
between being
complicated.
small and also the added reporting and verifying information, it just didn't make sense for Dryden Fiber at this time. So we just need to know to be aware that we are going to need to, because it's so many years off, I can just see us like forgetting. And then suddenly we are required to, we need to review this again.
Yeah, and I think as Amanda said, ultimately, we offer a pretty low price compared to other providers. B, the companies we have to subsidize this ourselves. If you have 20,000 customers and you're subsidizing it for 5%, it's a lot different than having 200 customers or 500 customers. And third is we could do it in the future. In the future, as the long-term debt is under control and paid for by subscribers, there could be revenue to say, you know what, we're going to have some lower cost services available for lower income people.
And we could have part of our yearly thing to review the rates, or the plans.
Yeah, so I think what I'm going to do is send you the rest of this document because there's a lot. Governance, compliance and risk, procurement and policy compliance review, responsibility, executive director, review of the board. Are there any issues with the town policy that Dryden Fiber would request amending with our procurement? I don't think there are any today, but procurement is a challenge in regard to timelines for making decisions, getting things before the board, dollar amounts, things that require multiple bids or going out to RFP. Um, all those things just add more time to the calendar. And this is the public's money, so we have to do it in a way that has a lot of fairness to it, to the spending. At the same time, I'm going to say 9 out of 10 times the vendor that eventually gets selected was the one that was selected 6 months earlier before the process was in place at the same price. So 6 months gets burned off the calendar by following the procurement process. Could there be a way to make it more efficient? Perhaps. Um, we'll be looking at that not part of this meeting, but as a task of the executive director each year is the procurement slowing us down in a way that we'd request a change to it. Board reporting effectiveness review. Is the Public Broadband Committee reporting method working? The first Friday of the month, the PowerPoint deck, the topic meetings. What else is needed to make the Broadband Committee function effectively? We can hit this right now, or we can just sit on this and we can come back to it at a future meeting of, is this current format we're doing working? It's been evolving for the last couple of years since I was hired. Are there things that would make it more effective, or do you want to just think about it and say, like, let me brainstorm and come back? You guys are so quiet. The next one, insurance coverage adequacy. We just started our insurance. The project did not have insurance a year ago, but there should be some review of insurance. The responsibility on this one is finance, and then follow that would be a review of the findings would be by the executive director and the board. Cybersecurity. We don't have a network engineering or IT department to assess this, but that's who traditionally would review our cybersecurity posture review. Does the town have one?
Well, we contract with Plan First for the town IT, but I mean, isn't Integrity managing the network?
Yeah. Who's like applying firmware updates to the switches or anything along those lines?
Yeah, because that's where that would come in.
I think Integrity would be doing that.
Yeah, so that's one of your big risks. The other is you're collecting credit cards. That's your PCI
Yeah,
compliance.
that would be within the town. However, whoever the vendor for that would be there. So
Right.
the thing
Which is that Stacks bill that we're current collecting? That's yeah.
Yeah, Amanda just had to step out. I don't think we're actually collecting any credit cards ourselves. People have the option, if they want to pay by credit card, to log into their account and put their credit card into the Stacks billing system. So we're not collecting those.
But
Yeah,
we should be verifying their PCI compliance at some point.
Yeah, at least the contract with them should have something about their responsibility to
Right.
maintain proper
They are
cybersecurity protocols. and also the notification part, because if there is a breach, there's a responsibility to notify people within a certain amount of time.
Right.
It's good.
And if you don't, the fines are significant.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. I think they're a PCI one level provider. So
I'm sure they
I'm pretty
are,
sure they are. So,
but we just need,
but we need to double check it.
I mean, what we do at Cornell is we just ask the vendors to provide it. I forget the name of it. I can find it, but a statement that they have to give us every year that shows that they are PCI compliant and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
There's an ROC and an AOC. I think
AOC, right? Yep.
attestation of compliance, and
Yep.
then some other
Yep.
thing for
Yep.
compliance.
That's it. The AOC, right? That they attest to the fact that they are PCI compliant and that they're all up to date on all that stuff. And um,
Cool. The next one under governance compliance risk is disaster recovery exercise.
Yeah.
We literally wrote this list a week ago before the truck hit the pole. Um, Issues, literally like tornado takes out 100 poles across the network, lightning takes out a pop. Do we want to do a practice run of what we do if that happens? Who calls who? Um, I put that also as executive director,
Yeah.
like running this, scheduling this.
We certainly need a plan,
We have
even
not
if it's not a
prioritized.
tabletop exercise. We certainly need a plan.
We need to start with a plan.
And there's also the security around the pops too. I think we probably should review that every year.
Well, and that's part of it is,
Yeah.
in theory, somebody should be looking at the network logs and all that stuff, right, to make sure that the network switches aren't getting hacked and all that. I don't. I mean, I think Integrity's looking at the network, but I'm not exactly sure what they do on the network itself.
Well, we
But
can
but
ask.
that also would include things like firmware updates and software updates to the switches and all that kind of stuff because, just like operating systems, the switches, there's new stuff coming, that as vulnerabilities are found, patches come out, those systems need to be patched.
Mhm.
I think they're doing it, but it's definitely good to confirm it with them.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah,
think they
well,
are
All right.
too. Yeah.
So the other categories, network performance, uh, fiber inspection, how frequently, splice loss audit, pole attachment compliance, underground asset condition checks, pop environmental review, trees, branches, seasonal, generator battery backup. I'll send this whole list to you. A
Yeah.
lot of these are either executive director or executive director reviews from someone else doing the work or this operations team, which we don't have in place. Um, and just assigning responsibility for these. It doesn't mean they're all going to get done this week, this month, this quarter, but the goal would be, are there anything here that we definitely don't need? Redline those. Is there anything that we forgot from this list? We should add them back in and then start assigning responsibilities.
Mhm.
And ultimately, over the course of the year, schedule these out so they're not like we're jammed with 5 pages of annual compliance in Q1. We spread them out. So like every quarter we do a little bit of these things. This financial review has like things like the average revenue per user and take rate analysis. As you see, these are all either finance or executive director, which is just a lot more tasks to process through the.
Yeah, you had some metrics above for an integrity too that talked about like average time, mean time to, you know, mean time to install or those kind of things. I think those are good statistics to be able to get once in a while.
Yeah, like I mean, we're heavily relying on anecdotal evidence for our customer support. So
Correct. Correct.
it would be good to actually have some numbers and say, they compared to the national average, compared to the regional average, compared to other
Right. Right.
ISPs. here's how we're doing
Top
it.
recurring complaints would be a good one too, is understanding what those are. Um, yeah, I I like your list there. I'm trying to think if there's anything else there, but those, I'm not saying that we need Integrity to give us that information every month, but boy,
The
it would be nice to get it, a quarter or every 6 months or, something along those lines to kind of get some of that information so we have a better understanding of what the customer service experience is.
Totally. I mean, at our size, if they gave it to us every month, we wouldn't have enough resource to process it
That's
every month.
it's certainly not an every month thing, absolutely.
There's a financial review for revenue per user and take rates. There's a staffing and organizational capacity regarding who's doing what. This one I particularly like, single point of failure knowledge review, because a lot of things are happening with just Matt, Amanda, and myself. Um, Strategic reality, where we were, or what our actual is compared to our plan for build. Um, what are the points of stress? Amanda talked about this with our billing software. If we had 5,000 customers sign up, if the entire green zone is available for both towns, talking about going from 1,800 houses to 7,200 houses with potential service. Like, do we have the capacity to manage that much business?
Right.
Um, so let me send this whole list to you so you can take a look through it. I think
Mhm.
this is probably a good start for us to begin the assessment of what it looks like to run this each each year with some organization to it. Um, Finally, um, I think that was basically it. We're right at noon. We are 341 days to the deadline. So um, even with this annual assignments and look, my focus, Brad's focus, Amanda and Matt's focus has been unblocking everything for construction.
That's
We're less than a year left, and we have
yeah,
many
that's
miles to do.
seems to be kind of a nail biter.
Dan, you have a question?
I don't have my hand up, Dave.
You look like you're on the cusp of something big. So a few other things going on. One is that Dan and I are meeting with some Cornell grad students a little later in the day to talk
Hey,
about
Daniel.
some work they're doing. Um, and one of their things is looking at the economic impact of Dryden Fiber in the community in both Dryden and Caroline. Another is how do we actually reach the 544 residents who only have DSL and dial-up? Uh, and what's a good strategy to get out to them and talk about what we have available. And all things go right, we should have service to all 544 of those houses by the end of the year. How do we make sure that they have a nice runway to get on board? So that's a little later
Yep.
today. And then the last part is Dan is working really hard on some legislation for us. One on extending the bond timeline. Right now, municipal infrastructure for fiber is a 10-year bond period. We're trying to increase that at the state level to 30 years because the lifetime of a lot of this material is in the 30 to 40-year range, but current state law for the bonds is 10 years, which is not enough time to recover through subscriber income alone to pay it off. It really needs to be 18 to 20, but 30 would be more realistic with what's available for the lifetime of this material.
Yeah, I got a chance to sit down with Senator Webb last Friday and get
Nice.
some one-on-one quality time with her to go over this. And she was really dialed in, impressed that Oric had come up with the draft legislation, made it fairly specific what we were asking for. And she said that she would go to the Senate central staff with that legislation. And I also shared it with Anna Kellis's office.
Oh,
So that should be pretty good attention to the matter. One of the interesting thing that Senator Webb said back was that we might do this on a special basis for Dryden, because I was making the pitch. This is not only good for Dryden, it's good for everyone who comes after us. And she goes, true, but it'll be a lot easier to do it exclusively for Dryden. Um, big picture aside, I thought that was, she's right because, if you try and do something statewide, all the folks that might be hurt by this are skeptical, have a chance to surface and disrupt things. So we might just do it on a Dryden fiber basis to get it done this year.
The draft
Regarding
is
the other
already
thing that Dave mentioned, so
go ahead.
this is a group of students who want to look at fiber and data for good in policy. They've started a sort of club, and I think they want to focus on Dryden Fiber, but maybe other operations nationally. And this is a chance to get research ideas pursued. If anyone on this team thinks that there's some sort of social benefit component to what we do, and if you have an idea on what we might ask these students to research, I think they would do that. What I saw, and I think we've talked about previously, was the overall economic impact of what we're trying to do here. Some of the lesser measured benefits of this program, and including having easier access for work. What's the financial impact of that on our residents? For instance, myself, I have to go into campus to teach at night during the fall. And that's a waste of gas and time. I'd rather do it at home, but I'm sure there are many other people that have larger lifestyle changes due to lack of high-speed internet. And what could this mean for small businesses, and what could this mean for education? K through 12, and the stories of people driving up to Dunkin' Donuts or the Dryden Library to do their homework. I think it'd be kind of interesting. They could prepare a case study, basically, on what we're doing that could be of interest to other communities.
We'll let you know how that meeting goes, and as we have reports from them, we'll share that with you. All right, it's a little afternoon. It's the 23rd of January. Our next meeting will be on Friday, February 6th. That'll be the reporting meeting for everything that happened in the month of January, which you've already seen parts of in the last couple of weeks. And then we'll have our next meeting after that on February 20th. It'll be by Zoom from 10:30 to noon to look at the Dryden Fiber 2026 annual budget. Right, there's a big storm coming. Stay warm, stay indoors, and
Stay
we'll see you.
plowed.
Thanks, everyone.
Yep.
Stay warm.